welcome to another episode of Curiosity Labs Between Two Nerds, where every week we invite a small human being to join us and ask a few questions about science. And this week's small human being is...
Hussein.
And how old are you, Hussein?
9.
And we know you, don't you?
Yes.
Awesome. We're looking forward to this.
Right, and you know the nerds. I am Mo.
And I am Eugene.
Okay, Hussein.
Yeah?
Take it away. What would you like to discuss?
Basically, DNA. What does DNA stand for?
Okay, cool.
DNA.
So DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid. So deoxyribo, that's the D part. Nucleic is the N, and acid, the A. Okay.
And what happens if there is one tiny error in your DNA which doesn't match with all your other DNA strands?
Okay.
You'd have 3 arms.
Could possibly. I mean, actually, no.
No, just
Okay, so first of all, let's explain what DNA is. You know,
It's something which forms your genes and
good.
Makes you tall, small. You're fat.
yeah, all of it makes you.
And it makes you look maybe unique or something.
Yeah, exactly. So DNA is is the name of a chemical molecule, right? That is used to store your genes, so genes are the instructions to make a living thing. Okay, so any living thing, right? So not just humans, dogs, cats, all life has some sort of DNA or RNA, right? And in that, those are the instructions to not only to make that living thing, but also it determines how it would function as well.
What's RNA?
Okay. That's
DNA?
Yeah, that's ribonucleic acid. It's so DNA, okay, there's you know the structure of DNA. This is where that model would have been useful.
Like a spiral?
Yeah, you take a ladder and you twist that ladder and that's your DNA structure. It's double strands. So 2 strands.
It's like 2 spirals.
Yeah, exactly. That's the double helix structure. RNA is just a single strand. So it's a bit simpler, probably even older, right, than DNA. And even so some living things like bacteria, they actually have RNA and not DNA. Okay? But actually we also have RNA in our body.
So is it but RNA is 1 strand and DNA is loads of strands?
2 strands.
2 strands.
Yeah.
So
it's twice as big.
Is RNA for the smaller life, and is DNA for the
earlier life? So bacteria would have RNA and not DNA. Okay. Oh, I don't know. They would have DNA. I think more complex
life has RNA.
Yeah, but we have RNA. RNA has functions in our body as well, as in sending bits of code to other parts of the cell. And there's a few other reasons. So we have RNA as well. Okay. So your genes, you use the word genes as well. So gene is it's a bit of this code that... so it codes for one particular characteristic. So you could have a gene that's for your eye color, right? You could have a gene for whether you have flappy ears or fixed earlobes.
That's why some people have different colored eyes, maybe cats, dogs, humans. Some maybe have a blue eye here, green eye.
That is actually, I knew a person who does that. Some dogs, huskies have that where you have 1 blue, 1 green eye.
Maybe that's 2 because you said 1 gene is for 1 particular thing. Maybe
one particular characteristic.
One particular characteristic. So is 1 gene for 1 eye or for both of them?
Good question.
Because if it's for 2 eyes, maybe they kind of have a difference.
Yeah. Okay. Or it's just that the cell in that eye. That gene is switched. So let's say the person has green and blue eyes, right? 1 green, 1 blue eye. In this eye, the gene in those cells in your iris, right, are coded for the blue color, and the other one is coded for the green color. There's not one for the right eye's got to be that. or left eye.
My son's teacher, my 6-year-old son's teacher, has 2 different colour eyes, and she has convinced him that it means she can see fairies. So that's science.
That's teaching as well.
Yeah, that's it. Amazing.
Right. So that's a gene.
And also, what happens?
Well, we didn't answer your first question, right? Yeah, I love these questions. So if you had a mistake, yeah. So if you had a mistake in that genetic code, right?
Yeah.
So we call this a mutation, and there are a number of reasons why you can get these mutations, right? We can cover that a little bit later in this chat as well. But it just means that, okay, so you can have like these little spots. I've got like little spots on my face or freckles. That is like a little mistake. So the cells where that spot is, my skin cells, the gene that tells them what color that the skin cells should be, what the melanocytes or what they're called, have to be, are expressed more at least, or so that's why it's darker there. Or same thing with freckles, so it appear as a little, kind of like technically, I guess we call it a mistake in your genetic code. But
Feels harsh.
Yeah, freckles.
Yeah. I'm literally
But it's like a little mutation.
So,
But sometimes what those mutations may result in that cell not even working properly and dying off and getting discarded.
and also, what is DNA created out of? Like, what's it made of? What creates it?
Okay, so deoxyribose, we're getting very technical. So that name, the long version of deoxyribonucleic acid, that kind of tells you what's in it. So the ribo part, ribose is a sugar, like glucose and sucrose, fructose, lactose, right? So ribose is a ribose without an oxygen molecule that forms a backbone, something called a phosphorus group. And then the nucleic acid, it's a type of chemical made from like amino acids. There's adenine, right? There's adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine.
You are going to remember all this, aren't you?
I think I've heard of those before.
In the class we had on DNA, I hope. Yeah. And we actually, so when you see the code, when you see like models, you'll see that their code, they're just the initials are given. So A, T, C, G.
What if there's does it have to be with one in particular, like maybe A with T or B with C or something?
B with T, I didn't say B, but yeah, so A and T.
Oh.
Okay, so they have a very specific shape, these molecules, right? Kind of like jigsaw pieces.
Yeah.
And A, adenine, can only attach onto thymine, so A and T will always link up, and C and G always link up as well.
Okay, but what happens if there's as I said before, an error in your DNA, and maybe A with G or like a full strand of A?
Yeah, well, you can have a full strand of A, possibly, but I mean, so with those mistakes, if there is a mistake, then that cell just won't function properly and it die off. So if there is, so let's say there's a full strand of just A's on a chromosome where there shouldn't be, then that cell is not going to work properly and it's going to die and that will stop there. That cell would, not all of you, but that cell just wouldn't function properly.
Okay, what about personality? Like, I've seen some people, I think some people, maybe, they sometimes, they look weird or something. not like that, but just, sometimes they, what, I'm not saying they look weird or anything, but
it's fine, don't worry about it.
Like everyone,
you mean Eugene,
everyone looks
right?
different from me.
You mean Eugene.
I'm talking about how is every single. There's so much people in the world.
Yep.
Yeah.
How is there that many possibilities of DNA in the world?
Because it's a very, very, very long molecule. Okay, so 7.5 billion people now. But, okay, so just to get an idea, so DNA is an incredible, the amount, just in one cell, if you were to take out your DNA and stretch it, it would be as tall as you. Pretty much, about 2 meters.
And you've got a lot of cells.
And you have a lot of cells, right? I mean, if you were to print out all that genetic code, There's something like 200 books of code. So there's lots of places in there where, there can be, there's lots of room to maneuver there. But also, so you're saying that there's so many people that look different, but that's to you, but then they have brothers and sisters that don't look too different, right? They're just subtle, varied changes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is DNA in red blood cells?
No. That's the one cell in our body that doesn't have a nucleus. DNA would be inside the nucleus of a cell. And the red blood cells, well, they're kind of like, all their job is to carry oxygen and carbon dioxide around your body. So they don't really have to do anything else, right? So they don't have a nucleus, and hence they do not have DNA.
Okay.
Okay.
And also,
Is that okay?
Yeah, and also I was only asking that because I think I saw or heard somewhere that like red blood cells, they kind of like copy themselves.
No, they don't copy themselves. So your red blood cells,
they create new ones or something. I think I heard or saw somewhere that they like create new ones. Because if they do create new ones, that would probably have like the same DNA in it.
no. So the red blood cells don't. So other cells though replicate by splitting. So you have one cell gets a bit bigger, and then it becomes bigger, and then it separates and it becomes two cells. So it's cell division. That's how you get new cells. Red blood cells, however, are made in your bones, in your longer bones. So your humerus and your femur, possibly, in your bone marrow, right? So there's this thing.
You know what that is? Have you heard of bone marrow?
Have you had an ossobuco anytime? So inside the bones, inside the long bones, there's like this fatty stuff inside them. So your bones are actually like hollow, and there's this fatty stuff, and that's where the red blood cells are made.
Okay.
Are you sure that's okay? Yeah.
And why does everyone look? Well, except for like identical twins, does everyone look different? Like, does one tiny DNA strand affect like loads of things in your body? Because what if there were two people and like their entire DNA are the same, except like in one strand. In one of them, one strand is different. Could that affect like lots of things, or just a?
Oh yeah, if it's one strand, that would change a lot of stuff.
How much strands?
Okay.
How much strands are there?
So your DNA is arranged onto chromosomes. Okay.
Yeah.
You, as humans, just you, have 23 pairs of 46 chromosomes. Okay. Just to give you an example. Okay, so what makes a man or a woman is these two particular chromosomes called the X and Y chromosomes. Okay, so men have an X and a Y chromosome. So you have that one pair. So one side you have an X, the other side you have a Y. The Y is a bit shorter and generally a bit useless. Hashtag
I'll go one of them.
Yeah. And then women have X and another X. So just having one different chromosome, that's that Y chromosome, is the difference between men and women. So just to give you an idea of what would happen with just one strand, it's different between a man and a woman.
Okay, how many strands of DNA are there in your body?
Strands. So again, so 46 chromosomes.
46. So how much does one strand affect? How much of your body does one strand affect?
A lot. A lot. I wouldn't know exactly, but a lot.
And it affects everything.
Yeah.
It'll affect the shape of your lips, the shape of your nose, how tall you are, how short you are. As Mo said, what your ears look like.
What? I didn't say that.
You talked about earlobes.
Oh, right, okay. I thought it sounded like you were implying that me and you've been having a chat.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you see Hussein's ears?
Oh,
they're terrible.
God. Amazing ears.
We haven't.
You've got great ears, by the way.
Good job.
How much? I've got quite sticky outy ears. Which I never knew, but I got told it a lot. So.
Isn't it because you're bald?
Well, I like to think so.
Yeah.
People said it well.
I think I've got small ones.
You said something about some people like have really good hearing.
Did I?
And then you said something about like the mouse thing, and some people have really good hearing, like you, and you could.
Oh, my superpower.
Is that anything to do with DNA?
It probably is. So I can hear. So randomly, I can.
It's
hear,
amazing how much goes in.
Like it does all go in, doesn't it? So yeah, I can hear really high frequencies that most people can't hear. Most humans can't hear. So I get really irritated by the little rodent defense plug.
Yeah, I can't hear that.
Yeah, no, not many.
Kids
Well, not
can.
many can. Yeah, you're far more likely to hear it.
Yeah.
Because you can hear more range and higher frequencies.
And then as you get older, those you go deaf to those lower frequencies.
Or in my case, you don't. Giving me my bat-like superpower.
No wonder he's so weird, right?
But yeah,
Maybe there's something off.
I mean, so how well you can hear will be relating to your DNA, but it will also be relating to once you're born and the life that you're leading. You could cause damage to things like hearing. You could cause damage to your eyes. You could look to the sun, burn something into your eyes. Now that's got nothing to do with your DNA. So the older you get, the less impact that DNA is going to have on if I'm losing my hearing, or if I've done something to hurt my eyes, or if I've broken my hand. So the environment will start impacting.
Yeah.
And so once you've like broken a bone or something, does DNA go into the bone and like affect how long it is or short it is or something? Because if your bone is broken, will it like could it affect like, how much would it affect in your body if like a bone breaks? Because what if DNA goes into the bone and like affects that?
No, but there's DNA in that. So your bone still may have cells. There's still DNA. It's not traveling around your body. It's in each and every one of your cells.
So those bones. So if you break a bone, that bone will, and the human body is amazing. Will create new bone. So it'll help fuse that bone together. And the cells that it's creating for new bone are bone cells.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't be very good if it read the instructions wrong and it tried to grow a new ear, stick your bones together. So you will regenerate bone, which is that cell creation when it's getting those instructions to be a bone cell from your DNA.
Yeah, so it's pretty amazing though how cells know what cells they're going to become. So they all have the same instructions, right? But each cell, so my skin cells are only reading the bit of those instructions that are telling it to become a skin cell and not, let's say, a brain cell. That would be useless, right? So this actually, so the DNA in each and every cell in your body is exactly the same. So let's think of DNA as being like an instruction manual.
So basically they're exactly the same, but they're used for different things.
Yeah. So there's different parts. So if it's an instruction manual, there's a chapter on how to be a brain cell. There's a chapter on how to be a skin cell, how to be a blood cell, different chapters. Now, my cells here are only reading the bit that tells them to be skin cells and not any other type of cell. And you can actually change this with chemical signals. So in a lab, there's a famous picture of this where they got an ear to grow on the back of a lab rat. So they got the cells.
A human ear.
Yeah. So they took the DNA of the rats, right? Inserted human DNA in there, a certain section of it, and then made a signal. They gave it a chemical signal that but made those cells in the rat grow a human ear on its back.
They must have had really good hearing.
Yeah, that was my first thought.
Yeah.
One giant ear on its back, human ear on a rat's back.
Yeah, so scientists have gotten so good at reading this DNA that they can actually genetically engineer things. So change bits of DNA to get that organism to do different things. Or even just being able to read it's pretty awesome. So you can see, you do these genetic tests now where you just spit into this tube, right? When you spit, you're giving off some of your own cells there, so there'll be some of the DNA.
But then it creates new ones.
Yeah. Your body's constantly making new cells, like constantly, all the time. And then scientists can look at your DNA and then tell you a lot of your history. So you came, your ancestors from this part of the planet. So, yeah.
How?
How?
Yeah.
Because you read the DNA, you'll see there's certain bits of genetic code that arise from certain areas, and you can just read that. It's how we know that all humans came from Africa as well, is one of them, is by looking at DNA, so we know where human beings started from, or which region they started from. Yeah, but genetic engineering, that's cool. So they're getting even better and better at this, at being able to read DNA and making changes.
Controversially cool.
Yeah,
Once you get DNA, does it do you create new DNA over time?
Nah.
So what if, is it possible?
But your DNA will change though.
Is it possible for someone to lose DNA somehow?
Sort of. Okay, so the quality of the DNA as you get older, and it's part of the reason why you get older, right, is because your DNA kind of doesn't, it's like, so going back to the book analogy, they're like pages missing in certain cells. So certain cells are not getting the whole copy, or someone scribbled in and written some other stuff. That's like a mutation, right? So there's certain, as you get older, which is why our bodies kind of start to break down. So you have that to look forward to. Yay! Right? But, so they don't your cells, they're just not working with the full code anymore, full instruction manual.
We've lost the instruction
I think this is kind of hygiene DNA-ish, but you said bacteria has RNA.
Well remembered. Good job.
So the bacteria that goes on your teeth, which maybe makes it yellow or black, maybe is that putting some kind of bad RNA or DNA onto your teeth?
No, you're not absorbing the... No, you don't. You're not going to affect your own DNA or absorb the bacteria into your instruction manual. But those bacteria are a problem in their own right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you were awesome. Thank you so much. Some great questions, rapid fire ones as well.
Thoroughly enjoyed that.
Yeah. And thank you guys for listening or watching.
Thank you very much for watching. What do you want me to say? This has been a Curiosity Lab production. We were told to say that.
Please rate, subscribe, follow, and do all the other
I've been watching YouTube videos and press the bell.
Oh yeah, the bell.
I believe, and they always pretend they don't know where it is. I think it's down there somewhere.
There?
No,
Is it there?
No, it's definitely down
joking.
there. Oh, right.
Right.
You're doing what they do. Right, I get it. Sorry.
All right, thank you.
Right, Hussein, you have to wave.
You're just going to keep waving indefinitely.
Don't stop waving, Hussein. Don't stop waving.